Hello everybody, my name's Eli, and today I am calling out the Keto Bodybuilder for the sheer amount of disrespect that he has been showing Scott Murray since news of his passing. Since news of Scott Murray's passing dropped about 3 days ago, the Keto Bodybuilder has already made 2 videos on the topic. In both videos, he shits on Scott, saying how what he does was stupid, he was an idiot, his content was terrible, and, well, saying that Scott Murray was stupid is not only extremely disrespectful, but it is also objectively wrong. Scott Murray put out a lot of really good and really true fitness information, both on his Instagram and on his YouTube, and people like the Keto Bodybuilder will say, oh, well, look at what happened to Scott, why didn't he follow that information himself? Well, first of all, we don't know what happened to Scott. We don't know. A lot of these things are just assumptions. Alright, so we can, which is one of the reasons why I'm so upset at this, because the second video that the Keto Bodybuilder released on the topic was titled Anabolic Diet Culture Killed Scott Murray. Let's honor Scott by changing viral media. You cannot say for certain that anabolic diet culture killed Scott. You can't say that. We don't know what killed Scott. Does the extreme exercise, lack of sleep, and diet factor into it? Probably, but there is so much going on behind the scenes than you know. And there's so much going on behind the scenes that I don't know. I've been talking to a lot of people since news of all of this, and honestly, I probably have more pieces of the puzzle than the vast majority of people out there, and I still only have a minuscule picture of what happened. There's still so much that I do not know. So for you to say in your title definitively this is what killed Scott Murray is not only wrong but incredibly fucking disrespectful. But then let's keep going. Look at that fucking thumbnail. That thumbnail pisses me off beyond belief, because you have that photo of him with the wings behind him and then the words "we are to blame." Hey, so I'm currently editing this video, and in the time it took for me to film that video to now where I'm currently editing it, he's already uploaded a 3rd video on the topic with the words "Rip Scott Murray" in the thumbnail, which I can only assume is to capitalize on the search results for Rip Scott Murray. Again, further using Scott Murray's death to capitalize and push himself. But I noticed, look at this thumbnail. This is incredibly disrespectful. The title of the thumbnail is "How I Safely Maintain 4% Body Fat," because people called him a hypocrite for chastising Scott Murray and Scott Murray's practices, right? But in the thumbnail, you have him on one side and Scott on the other, and then around Scott's head there are angels. Like, I hope I don't have to explain to you why that is insulting and disrespectful. That's pretty much like laughing at the fact that Scott Murray died and like, haha, like, you died doing that, my way is better. Like, have some fucking tact. Jesus, like... Anyway, that's all I have to say. I wanted to point that out. Back to past me. When you're talking about sensitive media, then this is, these rules are most notably used in terms of depicting suicide, but some of these can be applied to sensitive media in general. One of the things you want to avoid doing is placing blame. And you don't want to point the finger and go, you guys are all to blame. There are a myriad of factors that went into what happened with Scott, one of which being presumably the fact that he was mentally ill. And again, I don't even know, but based off of his actions and the fact that he said that he knew what he was doing was unhealthy, he knew what he was doing was harming his body, but didn't stop, it can be assumed, we can justifiably believe that he was going through he had issues. He was a troubled individual. He had mental illness. And so to look at somebody who knows what he's doing, but couldn't stop, that had serious mental troubles, and call him an idiot, it frustrates, it makes me so fucking mad. You cannot, like, I cannot express how upset this makes me. Because, like, in his first video, he says, like, oh, if I had to kill myself to stay at 4% body fat, if I had to do death cardio or whatever just to do that, I just wouldn't. I'd eat a moderate amount of food, do a moderate amount of cardio, and just be at around 15% body fat.
If I was required to kill myself to stay at 4% body fat, well, I just would never start. I would just eat what I wanted to eat and still be at a moderate energy expenditure level, and then I would just maintain 15% body fat.
That is literally, quite literally, the literal definition of literally, the first definition of literally, the exact same thing as saying, oh, well, if I had depression, I would just do some things to cheer myself up 3 days after hearing about someone's suicide attempt or suicide success. And the worst part about this is he has this air of the superiority complex about him in the comments and in his videos. This, like, oh, I'm just telling it like it is. These soft snowflake types need to learn the truth, you know, and I'm willing to take the brunt force of it and tell things like it is. As somebody who also likes to think that I tell it like it is and am willing to be brutally honest, you're not being brutally honest, you're just being an asshole. There's a fine line between telling the truth and then saying you tell the truth to justify being a prick to people, and you have crossed that line. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't necessarily disagree with you. I've spoken out against these massive calorie challenges before in a very similar way with my Ethan video, and it's even at that point debatable on whether or not I was actually in the right. And yet you're going around after 3 days after somebody died, shitting on the guy, calling him an idiot, saying his content is garbage. And not only that, you're promoting yourself. Like, how the because it frustrates me so fucking much to see you use Scott Murray's grave, to stand on Scott Murray's grave and use it as a soapbox to push yourself and to shit on the anabolic diet and preach your own. And before you say, oh, that's not what I'm doing, I'm just promoting my beliefs, then why did you premiere the second video? Like that, like premiering a second video 3 days after hearing about someone's death really makes it seem like to me that you're trying to capitalize off of the search results and the quote-unquote hype of the man's death to benefit you. And then to say anabolic diet culture killed Scott Murray, that means, like, so that you're using that to shit. You're using Scott Murray's death to shit on a diet and to promote your keto way of living or your healthy keto way of living or your principles for whatever. And I watched both videos. You promote yourself. You go on Scott Murray's website and shit on his approach, and then you go on yours and go, this is what I promote for this for $10, and this is my principles. All my clients do this. All my clients are losing weight in a healthy way. Someone fucking died. Have some class! It fucking pisses me off. And that superiority complex you have. This isn't about being a sensitive snowflake or looking beyond the point. And even that whole thing, because he makes a point in one of his videos where he says that, well, because people are saying Scott discouraged his way of living. He knew that his way of living was negatively affecting his health, but he was stuck and had trouble escaping it. And he dismisses that, saying, oh, your actions denote what you preach. So if do you practice walking at the crosswalk, or do you jaywalk into traffic? Well, if you do that, then if you say, oh, you should not jaywalk, and then you jaywalk, you're promoting jaywalking. First of all, you can live a lifestyle that you know is unhealthy and discourage it to others. An example being, I'm a boxer. And I want to be a professional boxer. Boxing is a dangerous sport that can lead to negative health benefits down the line. I don't tell people to go out and do what I do. What I do is pretty extreme, and it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of sacrifice. However, it is what I need to do to become a professional boxer. Would I recommend that to the average person that's just looking to get in shape and lose some weight? No. But even beyond that, even if we take into consideration, like, move aside stuff like that, we are dealing with what we think is mental illness. Sometimes, like, people who are mentally ill aren't thinking rationally. That is the entire premise of mental illness. And the fact that you just completely ignore that and are calling people fools and nerds and idiots in the comments, it's disgusting. That whole, like, you're just like those vegans that laugh at people who get cancer saying it's because they ate meat. You fucking disgust me. You literally disgust. You make me sick to my fucking stomach. And to see you stand on Scott Murray's grave to promote yourself and to promote your beliefs, I fucking despise people like that. And I do not use that word lightly. This is serious. And even if there are things that I agree with from you, like what he was doing was insane, that doesn't mean Scott Murray was stupid. Scott Murray was incredibly smart, who put out a lot of good information, but smart people can do dumb things, especially when mental illness is involved. In your second video on the whole thing, you talk about how Scott Murray didn't have people slapping him on the wrist saying, hey, don't do that. You need a strong person like me. I talk like this to my kids. If they're doing the right thing, I'm like, hey, good job. And if they're not, I'm like, hey, you better stop that now. And we as a community, because we like this anabolic content, encourage Scott to do that.
And yeah, he should have known better. But he's also young. And he didn't have anyone mentoring him. He didn't have anyone telling him no. Okay? The way I'm talking to you right now is how I talk to my kids. They need a strong figure telling them yes or no. When they do the right thing, yes, you're safe, you're good. Let's go, let's go, let's go. When they're doing something stupid, hey, stop. I'm not promoting hitting them. I'm just like telling you, like,
you know fuck all of anything. You know fuck all. Because first of all, again, Scott was educated enough to know what he was doing. And two, if you look through the comment section, there are a lot of people that are saying, Scott, this isn't healthy. Get help. At the end of the day, it's down to the person to seek help. And for you to infantilize Scott like that and talk to him like he's just some little kid that needs a slap on the wrist. Normally, I'm a lot more articulate than this. Normally, I like to make my points a little bit better than this, but like at this point, I hope you realize why this is bad. I hope those watching understand how in poor taste this is. And how, even if there are some elements, not all, but some elements of truth, that this is one of the worst possible ways to deliver your message. And that even if you are trying to be tough love, save tough love for the people that are still alive. And it frustrates me a lot too, because I watched your second video, and for a whole large part, you take a huge section of your video just to shit on people defending Scott and calling you out on your bullshit. So you know what? Here I am doing it in video format. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself for the way you presented yourself, presented your points, and how you acted in those videos. And if I were you, I would take those videos down. Because they're a massive disrespect to somebody who is admired, respected, and put out a lot of good information in this community. He's had more of an impact than you, and he was an incredibly positive person. Unlike you, and honestly, unlike me. I admire Scott for a lot of things. Was he perfect? Of course not. And yeah, are there things we can learn from him? Of course. But shitting on him needlessly and using him to promote yourself and to further your own ideas and principles, and just to further yourself 3 days after the announcement of his death, is incredibly despicable. You, the Keto Bodybuilder, you fucking disgust me. Oh, and in your second video, you try to speak for Scott. You're like, oh, we need to start changing things, because if Scott Murray is watching us from up, down, looking at us, do you think he'd be like, oh, we should be praising him for what he did? Do you think that we should, be putting him up on a pedestal and supporting him? Or do you think we should say, no, what he was doing was terrible and we need to change things up?
If he's looking down on us right now, you think he's going to be like, yeah, that's great. Everyone's so positive on me. Or do you think he's going to be like, man, I wish I could change every freaking thing I did in the last 3 years and promote a different lifestyle? What do you think he's thinking right now up there? I guarantee you he's taking the second option. And he's just wishing that we all would wise the fuck up.
You guarantee shit! You do not speak for Scott Murray. How fucking dare you try? Especially to try and put words into Scott Murray's mouth in order to promote your own ideology. That is one of the most disrespectful things you can do to somebody. And you did it 3 days after hearing about his death. You are a piece of human scum for that. Well, maybe it's true. Who cares? We don't know. We don't know what Scott would have wanted. We don't know what Scott is thinking now if he is looking down on us. We don't know. So there's no point in trying to think about it. There's no point in trying to figure it out, because we will never know. And anyone who tries to put words into Scott Murray's mouth, especially when it's espousing an ideology, is disingenuous and is trying to guilt trip you. Fuck you, Keto Bodybuilder, for that.